Hello, movies in short. Today I will describe the Chinese science fiction film called The Revenge of Plant. The film begins at the Qingshan University. Professor Huo Yuchun and his teaching assistant Zheng Wen are instructing a genetic engineering course. Students photograph the board in order to review their notes afterwards. One of them, named Luoqi, instead photographs Zheng Wen. Since she was a freshman, she has had a crush on him, but she has never had the nerve to confess. Luoqi's best friend Lily gives her a photograph of a corpse discovered in their campus that morning. They disregard it as a rumor and proceed with class. Elsewhere, the cops capture photographs of the suddenly deceased student. His physique has almost turned green, as if he were on drugs. Luoqi presents Zheng Wen a plant and declares her love for him as the class disperses. However, Zheng Wen rejects her due to the fact that she is his student. Luoqi explains to Lily that she has never been rejected before, expressing her frustration. Her companion suggests she let it go and forces her to dance to a radio tune. Zheng Wen observes their dance and grins to himself. Following this, Luoqi's infatuated classmate approaches her with a bouquet of flowers. Lily abandons them and returns to her dorm room. Her face is covered with green pimples that resemble sprouting plants, much to her amazement. She immediately applies cosmetics to their faces. Luoqi rejects the boy and proceeds to her dormitory room. Professor Huo Yuchun and Zheng Wen are currently in the professor's office. The professor provides him a beverage that induces unconsciousness. Then, he extracts a liquid from a bizarre plant with glowing roots and injects it into Zheng Wen's body. He is attempting to determine whether Zheng Wen's body is fit for the plant to grow within it, but the result is 0%. Professor vanishes after leaving the plant and Zheng Wen in his office. Back in her dorm room, Luoqi observes Lily acting strangely and inquires as to what is happening. Lily does not reveal her face and simply states that she needs some rest. Luoqi does not disturb her and begins to portray Zheng Wen. His balcony, which is visible from their window, inspires Luoqi's painting. A female enters the shower elsewhere in the hostel. A creeping plant eventually covers the shower head above her. The water turns green upon her observation, causing her to scream. After completing the painting, Luoqi chooses to present it to Zheng Wen. But no one answers his door when she knocks. At that moment, a woman named Xu Manluo approaches her and pulls a key from beneath the mat. She unlocks the door and requests that she wait within. Simultaneously, Zheng Wen awakens in the professor's cabin. He is perplexed as to why he fell asleep, but he does not give it much thought. He carries the plant back to his room. While the women wait, Xu Manluo admits that she was Zheng Wen's ex-girlfriend and that they attended college together. Luoqi feels a twinge of jealousy, but she remains silent. Xu Manluo departs after telling Luoqi to inform Zheng Wen that she was present. After she departs, Luoqi searches through Zheng Wen's possessions and attempts several passwords on his computer. Soon after, he enters the room and is astonished to see her there. Luoqi explains how she entered and asks why her date of birth is the password to his computer. Luoqi shows Zheng Wen a picture of her and Lily on his computer, as Zheng Wen pretends not to understand what she is saying. He leads her to his balcony and displays the plants she has gifted him over the years. Zheng Wen then mentions Xu Manluo and reveals that he was in love with her, but she left him for a job offer with a foreign company. Luoqi fails in her attempt to conceal her envy. She rushes away from him, but he catches up to her and admits that he also likes her, but a connection between them as teacher and student would be inappropriate. Luoqi proposes a date following her graduation, and Zheng Wen agrees. He gives her the plant he obtained from the professor's office as a sign of his commitment. Luoqi waters the plant after returning to her room, but the leaves cut her finger during the process. She covers the wound with a bandage while conversing with Lily. When her buddy fails to respond, she figures she went to bed early and goes to bed herself. The plant's roots begin to glow in the dark. Its branches descend to the ground and take over Luoqi's bed, suffocating her. Luoqi awakens to the realization that it was all a nightmare. Then, she observes that a green liquid is flowing from Lily's bed. She lifts the drapes cautiously and uncovers Lily's lifeless body. Her back had begun to sprout vegetation. The sight causes Luoqi to shriek in terror. As soon as the story spreads, the police are brought in to investigate. Zheng Wen learns of the incident and rushes to check on Luoqi's well-being. The officer presents Zheng Wen with a plant that was discovered in Lily's body and seeks his expert opinion. Zheng Wen is perplexed because the plant resembles a gymnosperm but has a root type he has never seen before. Luoqi observes Xu Manluo amid the throng while waiting for the cops to finish. Since she has not eaten since the morning, Zheng Wen then brings her to the canteen to feed her. Due to the discovery of a virus in some of the students, it is stated that the entire university campus will be placed under complete lockdown. All students and faculty members are forbidden from leaving the university without permission. As Luoqi and Zheng Wen exit the building, Luoqi briefly hallucinates that the university has been taken over by plants before returning to reality. They learn of Professor Huo's absence at the cafeteria. The accusation is that he endangered public health by exposing his students to a fatal illness. Luo Qi recalls that Lily's H-nicknamed lover helped pay for her college tuition. She believes that H was responsible for her death. She then enters the restroom, where the bandage on her finger shifts, indicating that the wound has begun to sprout a plant. She panics and removes it. A man wearing PPE and a face mask approaches her and Zheng Wen and instructs them to report to the gymnasium immediately for testing and decontamination. A university-wide notice requests that everyone assemble in the gymnasium. Officers wearing poison masks surround the school, which terrifies the youngsters even more. On the way to the gym, they encounter Shuman Luo, who discloses that she has been tasked with investigating incidents of infection. She has been working closely with Professor Huo on a synthetic gene reorganization research project on behalf of a multimillion-dollar pharmaceutical corporation. She discovered that the professor's experiments violated the ethics of scientific study. He began to restructure animal and plant genomes in order to generate dangerous viruses. When confronted, he disregarded her and continued the trials. Even his students were employed as test subjects, which led to the outbreak of the virus. As Zheng Wen and Xu Manlu discuss the experiments, Luo Qi observes her nerves turning green. She realizes she has been infected by the virus and flees in fear. After a few seconds, Zheng Wen becomes aware and begins to search for her. In the meantime, the afflicted girl who was previously attacked by plants is confined by the authorities. She is offered medical treatment, but the sickness finally kills her. Zheng Wen enters his room, where he discovers Luo Qi. She requests that he keep away and displays the infected arm. Additionally, he observes that her face is glowing green. Then, Luo Qi opens Lily's MySpace and reads the daily notes she used to compose. The note references a man named H who used to bring her to his lighthouse viewing home. In addition, she discusses a plant that H gave her as a gift. They believe that H is actually Professor Huo. Men in PPE suits then enter the dormitories to sanitize the passageways. They invite anyone still in the room to exit. Zheng Wen and Luo Qi are concerned that if they discover Luo Qi is infected, they will use her as a test subject. Therefore, they decide to conceal themselves until the men leave. However, Luo Qi unintentionally spills a glass of water, revealing their whereabouts. The men put both of them to the test in the gymnasium. After discovering that Luo Qi is infected, she is sedated with a sedative and removed. Later, a group of officials questions Xu Manlu on the virus. She informs them that the virus can impact the brain and nerve system of humans. However, the disease is not contagious and may only be transmitted through direct touch with an affected plant. The officials assume that this indicates that the incidences of infection are comparable to poisoning and that there is no cause for concern. According to Xu Manlu, Luo Qi's genetics are ideally suited to give rise to a new kind of a non-contagious but potentially exceedingly lethal viral variant. The men disregard her warnings and make the decision to end the lockdown. Outside, Zheng Wen encounters Xu Manlu, and the two resolve to visit the location described by Lily in her journal. They presume that the location is the professor's laboratory, where they might learn more about the student experiments he conducted. They eventually reach the residence and observe that it has been taken over by vegetation. The lecturer is inactively seated in a chair. When the two individuals approach him, a giant Venus flytrap grows from his back and nearly kills them. Xu Manlu sets fire to the plant and murders the professor alongside it. Then, she accesses the professor's computer and discovers that if the virus's growing conditions perfectly match a person's DNA, it will produce a never-dying plant that grows at an exponential rate and is capable of engulfing entire cities, if not countries. Similarly, if 0% of the genetics match, the individual would be completely resistant to the virus. At the beginning of the film, Zheng Wen's genetics matched 0%, which explains why he has not been infected despite the professor injecting him directly with the virus. Xu Manlu attempts to retrieve data from the computer so she can email it back to her employer. Zheng Wen is opposed to it since a large number of people have perished as a result of the experiment and the knowledge could put other lives in danger. When he attempts to stop her, she strikes him with pepper spray. But before she can escape, a Venus flytrap branch sprouts and kills her. Back in the gymnasium, we observe that Luo Qi's genetics are 100% compatible with the growth of the virus. As prophesied by the professor, she grows a never-ending, dense, crawling plant from her body and takes over the gymnasium. The medical personnel who were assisting her are also slain. When Zheng Wen goes to the university, he discovers that everyone is dead except Luo Qi, who has vanished. Then, we are shown that the plant has taken over the entire city. A number of months after the occurrence, Zheng Wen goes to the university in search of Luo Qi. He observes the portrait she painted of him on the classroom wall. Zheng Wen glances back and smiles at the final moment, presumably because he spotted Luo Qi. Subscribe for similar content, enable notifications, and like the video to help the channel. Thank you for watching.